word for the 125 class is parity, with 6 different winners through 9 rounds. While there isn't a dominant rider, consistency wins championships, and right now Ivan Tedesco has been the most consistent. But with 3 rounds to go, there is a slew of contenders looking to knock him off his perch. In the last 3 races, number 51, Andrew Short, has come on strong with 2 seconds and his first career win, moving into 2nd place in the standings. Mike Alessi also has championship dreams, gunning for a title in his first full season, and veterans Mike Brown and Grant Langston are trying to shake up mid-season slumps and regain their championship form. With 3 rounds to go and the title up for grabs, the 125 class rolls into Binghamton right now in OLN. Welcome to Upper State, New York. You can see it's a sunny day now here for AMA Motocross. This telecast on OLN is presented by Parts Unlimited. Good people at Parts Unlimited, always hooking you up. Welcome to Broome-Tioga, New York, Binghamton, New York to be exact. It's the Scott USA Broome-Tioga National. We're stop number 10 of 12, this 125cc class. You can see the track maintenance underway. I'm Robbie Floyd with champion David Bailey. Aaron Bates down in the pits, and it started out sunny and then it went to rain. I say sunny yesterday. Today, a flog of rain. I mean, that added to the cowl on the flat rock, that's what we saw today.
Yeah, yesterday was actually a little bit dry, Robbie, and I think the riders really liked where the track was going, and to tell you the truth, I didn't either. I was thinking, I'm glad you guys are riding and not me, but I think the rain is going to make the track actually better. It'll be a little tough in the first moto for a few laps. The vision is going to be a real problem. The start is everything. Look at the mud over to the left of where Ivan was preparing his spot. Standing water still, so if you're not in the top 3 or 4 out of the first turn, you're going to look like you just finished a mud race, let alone started a moto.
As we take a look at the point standings, Ivan Tedesco well ahead of Andrew Short, coming off of his 2 victories, 2 moto victories, and his first overall victory. We talked to Andrew earlier.
I didn't really expect to be up there, and when I did, it was a great feeling, and I just keep, developing new goals, and I keep achieving them, so that's a great feeling.
It's got to be cool, though. Coming off a win, it's got to breed, confidence for him, though, don't you think?
Absolutely. But with that comes the pressure. Now that he knows he can do it, a little bit more pressure to do it again. And this kid,
pressure?
Ryan Villopoto, he's been in the shadows of Mike Alessi his whole life, and now he gets to race his first national, and I think, he doesn't really know what to expect, so I don't know if he feels that much pressure or not.
Making that transition from amateur to pros, Aaron has it.
Well, we have a fresh new face here this weekend racing at Broome-Tioga Raceway, and he's known as one of the fastest amateurs never to have won a title at Loretta Lynn's, but finally he was able to do so just a couple of weeks ago. Ryan, congratulations first off on winning your title, and this is your big debut here this weekend. You didn't really have a chance to even enjoy your win.
Yeah, I've been racing for Loretta's for like 7 years, and I just wanted to leave amateur ranks having a title at Loretta. I never had one, and I finally did it the last time, so it kind of feels good leaving amateurs with a Loretta title. Hey,
just this team alone has had a spectacular season so far. Just last weekend, 3 top 10 finished riders. You got high expectations riding on your shoulders.
Yeah, I just want to go out there for sure, get the best start I can, and then hopefully finish in the top 10. If I can do that, I think everything will just make it a lot easier on me if I get a good start.
Well, he's certainly got enough horsepower to get the start. I mean, the Monster Pro Circuit bike certainly not hurting for horsepower, and it's nice to get on a motorcycle that you have a lot of confidence in. So he's small too, so if he nails that first 10 feet out of the gate, delivers the power properly, he should be in the top 5 or 10 for both motos.
How young does he look, though? I mean, he as well as Mike Alessi, he looks so young. Then you have this rough, established veteran of Ivan Tedesco. This is practicing Saturday. Look at the wood chips. I mean, we've talked about it before. I think this even plays in Villopoto's hands even better, because, that reminds me of Loretta Lynn's. You got the wood chips down, you diss the start, you see the lap times, and Andrew Short is the fastest so far coming into the day.
Well, obviously help. Now, this is interesting. Mike Alessi is lined up on the far outside, and you would never in your right mind line up like that, but what's happening is that's where all the mules and the golf carts and the four-wheelers, I rode down through there earlier,
foot traffic,
and that's getting packed. So it's a huge gamble, but he's the kind of kid that likes to gamble. I guarantee they thought a lot about it, and we'll see if it pays off. If it doesn't work, it's going to be a horrendous start. track layout, same as it's been over the years. I'm not so sure about these wood chips. Sawdust is great, you know, it gives the track some loam, but there's bark out there it's too big. There's enough rocks here already, and now they got more stuff flying around. I don't think the riders really like it. They've let their promoters know. Hopefully next year they make a correction.
And we look at the Honda starting grid. I had to correct myself. You're right. That is sawdust at Loretta. These are wood chips. No doubt about that. Big pieces of bark out there. There's Ryan Villopoto. Seen his name. He gets to race against kids who he was racing amateurs with, guys like Tommy Hahn just a few years ago. Alessi. I'm curious to see how this young kid does. I remember Brock Hepler, his first race out in top 10. We'll see. That was a couple of years ago. We'll see how Villopoto does here today. 125cc Moto number 1. You can see still a loose start on the inside. Ivan Tedesco and shutting him down on the outside. Well, I guess it paid off for him. Michael Alessi on the KTM.
Look at the mess outside the top 5. Just like I said, it looks like a mud race. They're going to be reaching for tear-offs, trying to see. Huge advantage for the riders up front. Alessi looked like he had the whole, well, he earns it right there, pushing Tedesco out of the way. What a gamble, and it paid off. He's looking like a genius right now for starting clear out on the outside and pulling the whole shot.
Michael Alessi, the Red Bull KTM factory pilot. Kawasaki's representative just behind the series points leader. Looks like, is that Josh Grant in third?
I believe it was.
Yep, it is Grant back in third place. Good. Oh, they're already making bars. But look at the standing water on the track. First race of the day. It's going to be tough for these guys. Also, tear-offs and roll-offs going to be very critical these first few laps. You get a little water behind one, it's liable to spread out to all of them.
And Alessi is just like the amateur ranks. You know, this is a national. There's a lot more at stake right now, but he's just treating this like it's an amateur race. Really, just get the whole shot and check out. And look at this. Josh Grant, another rider he battled in the amateurs just a couple of years ago. Already up to the front of the pack. Villopoto in his first national. So what we're starting to see is the beginning, the changing of the guards, Robbie. All these kids are for real. They're starting to prove it now. I don't think that there's a lot of expectation on Villopoto, but judging by how fast he looked at that shot we showed you and the lap times, he's going to pretty much be right in there doing what Josh and Alessi have been able to do.
Michael Alessi sits in third, as that graphic pointed out. Not too far behind Mike Brown, only 5 points behind Alessi. Grant tied fourth and fifth. It's Grant and Brown, and there's Grant looking good right now. And the Kawasaki contention right behind him. Those are sparring partners for Ivan Tedesco, his teammate. So, you know, how important is that for the team Kawasaki to get up in there and maybe gain more points for Ivan Tedesco, and, you know, kind of separate himself from the field?
You know, with the points, I mean, he just keeps padding his lead. Mike Brown, I don't see, we haven't even mentioned his name yet. Another bad start.
Oh, no. Going down. What happened there? Just tucked the front end over. Josh Grant with that Amsoil Honda has to refire.
Hate that. You just hate that. You get a good start. You got your opportunity. The start is so important today. And
there goes the man's man, Matt Walker.
Yep, one mistake and it puts you in mid-pack or even further back. So a huge mistake. It's going to cost Josh Grant big right there.
He got the bike fired up. I mean, how surprised were you at that? I mean, that thing fired up first kick. A four-stroke, that usually does not happen. I'm impressed, are you, with Matt Walker right now. The 122 Pro Circuit Kawasaki working his way up.
Yeah, he's at the point in this silly season where he needs to get a ride.
So he's without a ride right now.
Not to say he doesn't always try hard, but when you're in that time frame of the rest of your career, you reach a little deeper, and that's what he's doing right now. See Josh Grant at the top of the screen. He gets a little bit off balance, dabs, he gets too close to his hay bales, and just, man, that was a slow speed deal, but it looked pretty horrendous. I'm glad he's okay. And all those stakes sticking up. I love the way the tracks look with all the banners.
Look at that. Look at that. Going down again. Matt Walker, he just swapped out and he floundered out there.
It's a lot harder than it looks.
It looks hard to me. What are you talking about?
Got this mush out there that's sliding around the top, and underneath that it's like ice. It's similar. I mean, we're only about an hour from Unadilla. The slippery, that flat rock deceiving nice loam. It's not as tacky as it looks. And Matt just found a slick spot, got off balance. But look at all these wooden stakes that hold these banners up. I mean, Josh is lucky, Josh Grant that is, that he didn't just impale himself on one of those things. I love the way that makes the track look, but I wish those things were a bit more forgiving, just in case.
Ryan Mills, number 37. I guess this is home track, would you say? I mean, New York kid out there looking good right now in third, holding
got
off
Southwick. He's got, I don't know. got a lot of home tracks.
We
Riding well, though.
Yeah,
I mean, look at Larry Brooks has to be smiling pretty big at the moment. KTM running first and third.
All right, watch Walker right here. 122, the green bike in the middle. I mean, he just gets too far outside. Oh, that really did him in right there.
Yeah,
Pulled his
one
foot
of those
off.
crashes where you're like, oh man,
Why?
can I get a do-over? That was dumb.
And both guys we've seen go down lost a foot. And, you know, Grant had his foot pull off. He swapped around. That happened there with Walker.
That's just balance. You're just throwing anything out there to help you keep your balance.
They don't need motors.
It wasn't enough.
They don't need motors. You see oars.
Got to hand it to Alessi for taking the gamble, getting the whole shot. You can see fine. He's still clean. And, you know, it wasn't like he just got a good start. And, you know, he's the benefactor of that. Look at the lead. He's got good lines. He's delivering the power smooth. I mean, the kid's riding fantastic right now.
If it wasn't for that no points, Sakamoto and Southwick, he'd be up there in the championship. We'll see if Mike Alessi can stay that way. He leads Tedesco and Mills. A wet, sloppy track in Moto number 1 in the 125cc class, although most guys are on 250Fs. You're looking at Ryan Mills back in third. That race for second. Kawasaki just in front of him. Ivan Tedesco, our series points leader right now, trying to win his first ever AMA Motocross Championship. Already holds titles at 125 West Coast Supercross, but motocross a whole different world, a longer season for him, and really impressive this year. But I'm impressed by Ryan Mills right now, really put pressure on our series points leader.
Yep, it's tough. Mills, it's tough to read him. You know, he's either nowhere or, you know, you're like, was Mills racing today? You know, one of those, or he's putting in a performance like this. So it kind of goes to show how important the start is and keeping your head in it regardless. So far he's riding well, and you know, it probably helps that his teammates been riding well. Chances are they've been sharing ideas with lines and such. 'Cause I know Larry Brooks is he's pretty thorough as a team manager, and being a team manager that used to be a racer, nothing falls through the cracks over there.
And you know Larry's definitely sitting the boys down. And talking about that, the Red Bull KTM's first and third. We're not seeing Mike Alessi right now because he is checked out of Moto number 1. Good race though for second. Ryan Mills from New York misses a gear, and the bike just stalls, drops out, loses a chain. I'd say chain, huh?
No, I don't think that's a chain.
He looked down over to that side. He right then, he was just fighting with himself. Nonetheless, that's one of the best races. Even though he won a Moto this year, that was one of the best races we've seen him in all year long.
This is like
He's trying
the worst feeling, Bobby, when you got a good Moto going, and then that happens. You know, whatever it is, it's a bike deal, and you can see he's just going, ah!
Why me?
You know?
Well,
When do you get that opportunity again? You got to get back out there and try to get the start, but when you don't get a good finish in the first Moto, your pick to the gate is horrible. He's going to be 30-something pick. Something? Is that a word? You know what I mean?
Yes.
He'll be in the 30s when he lines up to the gate for the second Moto, and his chance of getting a start. I mean, he can see it. You can see the frustration. It's really too bad.
Did you?
Hope that doesn't happen to Mike.
No, we talked about his victory. Second Moto at Red Bud, he was able to take that victory, but again, he's either really on or really, really off right now. Ryan Mills sits
That one wasn't
18th
his
in
fault.
points. No,
he was riding well.
that was a mechanical thing right there. There's Ivan Tedesco. His teammate, Grant Langston, not too far behind, coming up short right there. Look, he's pulling for or going for a roll-off. And Grant Langston, you'll talk about on again or off again. I mean, he'll win one Moto and DNF the next, or finish second and then crash his way into whatever. I mean, he's currently in third right now, but I've never seen anything like this.
Well, in contrast to that, Tedesco hasn't been outside the top 10 in a single Moto all year long. So that's, he realizes the name of the game is consistency, and he has had great performances when he's needed them. Hasn't been really that fast here this weekend. Maybe he doesn't like this place, or I don't know. There's maybe a million things going on, but he's in a good position here right now. But Langston's all over him, and Langston, he's just trying to put together a solid performance. The title's gone, so the only thing worth it for him is to go out and try to win motos. I don't think there's any team tactics going on right here, obviously, because he just went by.
There goes teammate, and Grant Langston sits in 6th place, 247 points. A benefit to the Kawasaki team. I mean, look at Tedesco, Langston, Walker. I mean, a lot of Kawasaki's in the front.
Yeah, he's happy about it, even happier that Andrew Short is back there unable to make a move so far.
One more lap is complete. You see just how rough it is. You see the difference, how far you have the option of jumping out. Airbase, what do you have for us?
Well, we just saw Grant Langston pass his teammate Ivan Tedesco, and I spoke with Mitch Payton, the team manager, earlier on this afternoon regarding team tactics at this point of the season. He stated we don't try to discuss those things as of right now. We're going to wait. We think it's a jinx to talk about it, but when it comes down to it, racing is racing. If it so happens to be at the very last race, then yes, it will be discussed. But as of right now, that's considered a bit of a jinx, so he didn't want to discuss it. And racing's racing, and we're going to see what happens here in this moto.
Basically, Tedesco has such a big lead right now that it's not really necessary to discuss it. And also, you know, there's a lot of superstitions going around here. You just don't want to start talking about what's going to happen until it's happening. And right now, everything's working, so it doesn't need to get discussed.
Working for Mike Alessi on that Red Bull KTM. Got the whole shot on that far outside like you had talked about, David Bailey. Series points leader back in third with Grant Langston sitting in second right now. Another note to mention, Jason Lawrence back in sixth spot. Good job for the Suzuki rider trying to get inside that top 5. And our Parts Unlimited flashback here at Broome-Tioga. It was 1986. We had 500s and 125s racing that day. You won the 500s, by the way, David Bailey. And you remember the 125 race? Eddie Warren with a great hole shot. But look at some of these names. I mean, flashbacks. George Holland, number 11 on the Suzuki.
It was Cooper out front early on, but then this three-way battle for the lead shaped up. Number 11, George Holland. 23, Eddie Warren from the Michigan Mafia.
Another Michigander, Keith Bowen.
Yep, and Keith Bowen, a heck of a mud rider. And in the second moto, he would get his switch. First moto, perfect conditions, nice and dry.
That's perfect.
Yeah, it was perfect for Broome-Tioga. That's what you want. Nice, good loam and ruts. But the second moto, this was the scene. Tough to keep a pair of goggles on, and without transponders, very difficult to score. Actually, in my 500 moto right after this, they threw the white flag right after the halfway because it was impossible to continue. It was Eddie Warren who shined in the mud in that second moto and picked up the overall win.
Win the championship that year, Mickey Diamond, but his day in the basking in the rain. Eddie Warren from Michigan. Now present day, the hopes for Team Green Kawasaki. Now Ryan Villopoto looking pretty good. I mean, he's muddy just like, you know, that year in 86. He's currently in 12th. Pretty impressive though. Top 12 your first race out.
Yeah, not bad. I'm impressed with his aggression. He's a little bit all over the place, but the track sort of facilitates that. And I like the fact that he's just charged. He doesn't look tentative at all in his first national, and seems to be enjoying himself out there. And what really impressed me was this morning when it was really muddy. Right after that downpour, he went out in the first qualifier, hole shot it, and pulled away from Kelly Smith, who's an incredible mud rider. So Ryan Villopoto starting off pretty good. This was the pass.
Grant Langston over Ivan Tedesco going into that whoop section.
It set it up coming down the outside. He jumped down that step down and squared him off, and then running the left side down this rhythm supercross section, or whatever you want to call it, seemed to pay off because kind of like Millville, you didn't really have to make the pass. As long as you're on the inside, you had the block pass in the corner at the end. That's what happened. Tedesco pretty much had to back off right there.
Most supercross of the course, and then probably the best supercross 125 rider out there got passed on.
Yeah.
Go figure. Now you see everybody, look at that rhythm though. I mean, you've got to find, you lose your rhythm there, I mean, you're done for. I mean, you're not talking half a second difference. You're talking about a full second difference or even more.
The rest of the straightaway is pretty messed up if you mess up your rhythm early on. And you know what was happening was they weren't able to jump it early in the race because it was slippery and slimy, a little bit risky. And then as it started to tack up halfway through the moto, riders started jumping it. They're getting more traction than they meant to, and a lot of guys were over jumping it, ruining their time.
How about this? Brock Hepler working his way up through the pack. I mean, he just jumped way out. We saw Langston do that once he got by Ivan Tedesco, but Brock Hepler, horrible on that first lap. He is just charging through the field. He's definitely the fastest guy out there.
That was a good move. That was a really good move.
Just by a short. I mean, this is short coming off of his first victory. I mean, he has all the confidence in the world, and you got a Suzuki just blew your doors off.
Yeah, you got to realize that, you know, they've come from different parts of the country, and Brock Hepler is an East Coast kid who's ridden in plenty of mud, a little bit more comfortable in it, and it shows right now.
Hepler definitely looks fast. You see him not backing off that back end, still trying to hunt through there. It's going to get better for the second moto, but right now it's muddy, sloppy, taking a really different outside line though. But look at this, David.
Now watch Hepler set this up. He stays close enough, first of all, to take advantage of any mistake that Andrew might make. So he gets in there and forces Andrew to charge down in that corner hard. See him lock it up a little bit and searching for a line, and Hepler just cuts right across the inside and takes the line away.
That was a case of defensive
It
riding.
doesn't make contact. Last time these guys got together, I can think of, was at Bud Creek, and that was pretty ugly. So right there, yeah, it's nice to see them going back and forth and not touching.
And as we went to replay, Ivan Tedesco goes down. Now he has Kelly Smith on that Boost Mobile Yamaha just behind him. Went down over there. He was in the top 3, but now it's a battle for 7th place.
That does hurt in the championship scope of things. And you know, you quit worried about the championship and the team tactics and all that, and you just get the job done in the moment. You race for every position and make as few mistakes as possible.
Woo! Look at that, popped up. But did you see Grant Langston looking behind him instead of what's in front of him?
Well, he could tell what was coming, and he was trying to figure out, okay, is he going to square me off? How tight do I need to hold this corner? And you typically don't want to look back to do that, but maybe he wasn't sure who it was or whatever and needed to know how he should take that corner. Hepler, on the other hand, he was excited. He's like, oh boy, here we go. Here's my line again, and he messed it up.
Oh, goody, goody, goody. Look what I got for him. You know, when Langston looking back, I covered cycling at the Olympics. I've never seen a sport where you look behind yourself more than in front in track cycling. They're always looking behind. But I think that was right. He's saying, all right, is this some wing nut behind me trying to charge hard, trying to race with the champ or what? But that's definitely not the case.
Hey, you know what? Alessi has a huge lead. The kid he's on fire today.
Carmichael Alessi.
The start, yeah, a lot like that. The start was a gamble. He got it. I mean, we talked about how fantastic his starts can be. He hasn't gotten a lot of them, but he got it today, and he rode flawless after that.
Going for his second overall of the year. Mike Alessi, the Red Bull KTM, has victory in Moto number 1. Welcome back to Broome-Tioga. Mike Alessi with a victory, his 3rd moto victory of the season. One at Mount Morris, also at Southwick, and now here. Now we talk to him.
Well, now making it his 3rd moto win of the season. It's not hard to tell that he's 100% back. A healthy Mike, congratulations getting the whole shot, checking right out from there.
Yeah, everything went real good. Got the 2nd place whole shot behind Ivan, got Ivan real quickly, and just wanted to check out, and that's what I did. You know, I want this championship real bad, and you know, want's a pretty big word, and I want this championship, and I'm trying to pull out everything on the last few races, and hopefully it pans out. If not, then there's always next year.
Made up some points here as we take a look at the Suzuki results. Alessi, Langston, Hepler short, and Jason Lawrence does move inside the top 5. Josh Grant goes down and still works his way into a 6th place finish. Ryan Villopoto, the rookie, in 14th. Let's talk to his teammate, Grant Langston.
Just kind of edged my way forward, and for 2 laps I made so many mistakes. And I heard Brock behind me, and I thought, no, I don't want to let him by, and I kind of just put the hammer down the last 2 laps and held him off, so it was pretty good.
Well, he's definitely had some highs and lows so far this season. Brock, once again, starting from mid-pack, charging all the way back. How are you able to do it always from mid-pack?
Well, you know, I train really hard, and you know, when it's hot like this and the mud's really heavy, it really wears you out. So, you know, that's where I really try to shine, is at the end of the motos. And you know, I didn't get up the first, but I was really charging.
Running all those muddy hills in Pennsylvania on that Saturday, Suzuki really paid off for Brock. And nobody does more to protect your right to ride than the American Motorcyclists Association. Every racer on the track is an AMA member. How about you? Call 1-800-AMA-JOIN or visit AMADirectLink.com. The AMA, rights, riding, racing. And now Between the Motos with Dr. G.
Tim Ferry was the very first motocross athlete that I worked with. He started inviting me to go to some of the races, and eventually I started to blossom in with a couple other relationships. You know, started working with Kevin Windham and Ezra when they were back at Honda, and started working with a numerous amount of 250 riders, and then recently just started going back into the 125 ranks. I've been working with Ivan Tedesco, and it's been a great pleasure.
Yeah, well, we do, take a toll on your body, and you got to come in here and get straightened out. Luckily, I found a good guy.
He came up to me last year before he won the championship and said, "Hey, Dr. G, what's it going to take for me to work with you?" And I said, "You couldn't afford me." and he said, it doesn't matter, I want to win. Ivan and I have been working together ever since. It's been a good relationship for both of us, I think. It always makes me look good when he's winning, too. Everybody wants to know what the champion's doing. It's not a secret, but obviously we want Ivan to have the advantage as much as he can.
Hitting the jumps and stuff, it tweaks your neck a little bit. You know, as long as you don't hit the ground, when you hit the ground, everything hurts. So when you're at our level, every little thing counts. And to have somebody on my side like that to work on me every day, it really helps. G's part of my program now, and I don't think I could really do it without him.
The elite athletes will go to the elite means to get any advantage they can over their competition. Not only am I a doctor to all these motocross stars, but I have to admit I am a huge fan. So I've kind of started my own little collection of jerseys here. A couple of years ago, when I was working with Ezra Lusk, I was fortunate enough to work with James Stewart, and this is the old Bubblicious jersey that he signed. This is one of my favorite jerseys. Mike Brown, Lakers, big Laker fan, one of my all-time favorite riders. Yoke, Ezra Lusk. This is back in the Kawasaki days. Bowleman back in his 934 days, you know, came in here. And I've just been really blessed to be able to have worked on quite a few people. We collect the jerseys. I'm the biggest motocross fan of all. I try to hide it a little bit, but deep down inside, when that gate goes down and those guys are going for the first turn, I'm up on the edge of my seat just like everybody else.
Makes all the difference, Robbie. These guys all need that kind of adjustment. And when I did the Ironman, there's no way in the world I could have recovered without that kind of person in my corner.
Stay with us. Moto number 2 is next. About to get things underway with Moto number 2, the 125cc class here at Broome-Tioga. Stop number 10 of 12 of this AMA Motocross Championship. Ivan Tedesco, the series points leader, lost 11 points to Mike Alessi. That 7th place didn't bid him well. Right now he's with Aaron Bates.
From the 2nd to the 6th round, Mike had the points lead. You're kind of in the same situation right now. You've got the points lead. How do you prevent what's happened to him from happening to you?
I don't know. I guess not what happened last moto, I guess. You know, just try and stay up front and hopefully I can do that this moto.
And what are you doing differently this moto?
Stay off the ground.
Keep her on 2 wheels, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Now he's starting on the outside where Mike Alessi is starting all the way on the inside.
And that's our Honda starting grid. You saw Alessi with that first pick of the gate. Langston was second. Now, why would that be, David Bailey?
Just this particular moto, if I were Mike Alessi and had first pick of the gate, I'd go to the far inside. And, you know, I don't think he had first pick before and he took a gamble and it worked, but now the track has dried up some and I don't think it's an advantage to be clear out there.
Go inside, push them wide. You're right, the track is much better for Moto number 2, and you see a good start by Alessi, and this time it's the green machine on the outside going by.
Yeah, you can see Tedesco shoot across, so that, I don't...
This is the inverse of Moto number 1. Exact same thing happened. Who was on that outside? Whoa. And this time, it's, well, just like in Moto number 1, the guy who was inside come out
in
after
the
this
same
turn.
spot. It was Alessi getting around Tedesco. And Tedesco's got to figure out this hill coming into this right-hander, and Hepler is right there with those guys this time. And he was fast the first moto. Now he's got to look at the lead.
Oh, yeah. Did you see that? Tedesco making a bobble, but Hepler jumped his way into second without the mistake of Ivan Tedesco.
Yeah, Hepler he's going to apply the pressure to Alessi right now and force him to ride these first couple of laps perfect. Like you can just see from the aggression in that first, just, you know, few hundred yards that Hepler means Alessi almost going down. Lucky he didn't go down right there.
How did he save that?
Luck, strength, and just desire to stay on 2 wheels.
We saw a lot of people over-jumping that section, but look how he jumped just off of the track a little bit, landed in some soft stuff. You know, he would probably be in this championship. Which event was that? The round he over-jumped and separated his shoulder early on in the year. It sounded like he was out in front, just pretty much like that.
Yeah, that's a hard impact. I never really liked that jump.
Neither does Alessi.
You have to do it perfect, and it's sketchy when you're in traffic. He's lucky he didn't have somebody right on his tail that crashed into him from there. That's why he looked back.
A lot of horsepower going up that hill, and heck, I don't even know if there is a favorite. We know the KTMs are fast, but especially the lightweight Mike Alessi on top of it. Would you say that's probably the fastest bike on the track at any given time, or do you think that they always have more testing?
I think on the showroom floor it's one of the fastest, and you know they've worked on it obviously since and got even more out of it. But you know, Mike is really good at delivering that power. If you ever get a chance to watch him in these races live, when he comes by, you can barely even hear it because he rides the bike in a taller gear where those kinds of engines make better power. He's really disciplined to make sure that he shifts at the right time, and he rolls the power on really nice. So, you know, whatever power that bike's putting out, he's getting all of it.
Mike Alessi, only 17 years old. It's his first full season as an AMA motocross professional. Rode a couple of events last year. Did well. You know, Podium in his second tryout. Now we're seeing the number 3, Mike Brown, who was in the championship hunt but has dropped all the way back to 4th coming into this event. And it wasn't too long ago, he was our series points leader.
Yeah, bad starts. It was just a string of those, and losing a little confidence in his engine at a couple of points where he pulled off. And I don't know all the reasons for that, but you know, these things have a tendency to lock up sometimes. What if it did it off that jump right there? And I don't think, you know, Mike's been around long enough to hear the motor and know what's going on in there, and he's not willing to take a chance at his age and you know, get hurt back. So it's been tough for him lately, and with the Motocross of Nations, all that stuff brewing, and him not performing well, he's feeling a lot of pressure right now. But it's good to see him get a good start finally.
Brownie, the rider number 3, former national champion in the 125cc class. For those of you new to motocross, a single-digit number guarantees that was a former champion. You see Grant Langston with that number 8. They back-to-back years, I believe, for the 2 riders, them winning the 125 championship, pulling off a tear-off there. But, you know, that's the epitome. To have that single-digit number, keep it each year. You know, you're known as that number out there. Brownie, you can think of 3. I think of him. Jeff Ward's no longer, you know, up there. But, you know, that's the goal.
What do you think of when you think of number 4?
I'd have to say Carmichael. I don't know.
You know, with what Carmichael's been able to do, to switch to the 250 class real quick, since you're talking about numbers, you know, I've heard some people talking about maybe we should just retire that number when Ricky retires. You know, they've never done that in the sport of motocross, but it makes sense in his case. He's been so successful in the sport.
And he was one of the first guys, too. I remember when I got to talk to him, when he had the motocross and supercross championship, he could have kept the number 1 on his bike. He chose not to do so. He never ran that number 1 except for, you know, that last race on the Honda last year.
It's been good to him, so he figured, you know, he liked the way it looked on the bike, and it was a merchandising thing and some advice from his sponsors, and decided to stick with it, and it served him well. Andrew Short losing a strap on his chest protector, and sometimes that gets on your nerves. I don't think it's bothering him right now. He's just going points.
He also lost second in points, too, with that win by Mike Alessi. Vaulted him 2 points ahead of Andrew Short. So in the points chase, it's Tedesco, Alessi, and now Short. You see the 51 charging hard. He's in the top 10, barely. He's at 8th. Now it's time for a Suzuki Riding Tip, and we find Suzuki's best rider. And David, you get to talk about it.
Well, you know, this is about braking bumps. Sometimes you just can't miss them. And what you don't want to do is have them mess you up so that you can't get around the berm mount. Now take a look at how Ricky just relaxes and lets the bike just kick around underneath him. It doesn't let it affect his momentum. Still makes contact with the berm with good balance so he can get into that rhythm section without losing his timing. You've got to get comfortable with letting the bike bounce around. You can practice nose wheelies if it's what it takes to get more comfortable. But the key is not to try to miss them all the time, because you spend so much time looking for a good line, it's actually slower. Go right through those things, let the bike hop, keep your eye on the berm, and make contact without letting those braking bumps slow you down.
That's your Suzuki Riding Tip. We're back live at Broome-Tioga. Not only do the rider have to be dialed in, but also bike setup, very important for that same thing.
You know,
I couldn't do that, David.
Even if the bike still kicks around a little bit more, I mean, there were times where I'd let my back wheel hit a braking bump, and I'd purposely let it nose me a little farther so I wouldn't hit the next bump.
Some people may be wondering what the heck that is on the top of Andrew Short's head. It's in case of those muddy conditions. Got a little piece of foam up there.
Nice. Woo-hoo! Yeah, he learned. Brock Hepler taught him a lesson in the first moto, and he used it on Langston in the second moto. That was sweet. Look at the aggression from Andrew Short right now. He's thinking championship. I want to keep in the running and need some points, and you know, he's got to get around Langston to pick up a couple more, and he does.
Another guy looking for championship points is Mike Brown, the number 3. And what has happened to Brownie this past, I don't know, month and a half? Josh Grant just in front of him, but has lost a ton of points. David, what is the one thing you think it is with Brown that has been his detriment these past, say, 6 weeks?
Just from my standpoint, looking at it, I'm not looking at him just, you know, in particular, but kind of just an overview of it all. I don't think he's getting the starts he needs, and when you're not getting the starts you need that many times, then I start to question the power. rumor has it that he was not happy with the power after Millville, and went and did something about it, and looks like he got the start he needed this moto. So whatever it was going on with the engine, they got it sorted out.
Jim's Motorcycle Honda is doing good, trying to gain those valuable championship points. You see Brock Hepler, you see Michael Lessie not too far behind. That's first and second place respectively. The factory Suzuki, the Team Makita Suzuki, just in front of that Red Bull KTM. Two young guns. These are the stars of the 125 class. We expect them to be the stars in the 250 class in the not so distant future.
Eventually. You know, with Alessi, during one of the weeks that we had off in the series, he came up here to Binghamton and rode a local race. So, you know, I talked about how much he prepares. He was ready for this racetrack, and it shows today. Look at Andrew goes, okay, well, I can't get you here, so he squares it back and gives himself that opportunity to hit this berm early and just dart out of it, cut straight across the corner and catch Langston kind of going, oh, man, where'd you come from? Great move.
Watch it now.
Didn't touch him either. You know, Langston can't be upset with that. He can only be upset with himself for allowing it to happen.
Now Kelly Smith still in the battle, and again we see Grant Langston. Saw that pass at the same place that happened to him a little earlier, but the track's definitely drying out. You're not seeing the slop we saw earlier as well. Pretty fast lap time, 2:22 as well. Definitely picking it up in pace.
Right, and guess what? Kelly Smith must be running a 2:22 as well. He's been up there all day long. Decent starts, riding well. And I'm pretty sure, I'm not positive, don't quote me on this, but I think he's been second overall here before. So he agrees with this track, and as soon as it rained this morning, he was like, all right, I'm going to do good today. Wide open.
One overall victory to his credit. That was in the rain at Mount Morris. And you're right, he does like this track and looking good, but Grant Langston looks like he's starting to get things dialed in again as well. Not too far behind the number 8 on that Cowie.
You know, you wouldn't believe. See all the people here? Pretty nice crowd on hand. That rain came down this morning. We couldn't find anybody. I was like, where'd they all go?
Yeah. Gone.
And they disappeared. I was thinking, the motors are hating it right now. It's going to hurt the crowd. The track's going to be lousy. And it actually turned out to be a pretty good day. And the track is, it's gnarly. It's rough, rutted, slick. It's probably one of the most technical tracks we've had of the year.
That sounded very surferish of you. That was gnarly.
Couldn't think of a better word.
That was a great adjective. Great adjective. There's Grant Langston, aggressive. He's going to be on the outside coming up this hill. Look at him on the throttle. Now what are they going to do? Woo! Slingshot. It gets by. Takes over position. This looked like the 250 race that we saw between Carmichael and James Stewart that time.
He's like, hey, man, Short did that to me a little while ago. I gotta balance this back out. So he picks up another spot. Kelly's still riding well, but Langston just a bit more aggressive right now.
Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki's moved up. Kelly Smith drops back to 8th place. Let's go back down to the pits. Miss Erin Bates.
Well, guys, I was tallying up some moto wins down here, and as it sits right now, Brock Hepler has got the most moto wins so far this season. As it sits, he's got 4 moto wins right now. If he keeps it on 2 wheels for the remainder of moto number 2, it will make 5 moto wins. That's the most wins out of anybody this season. Everybody else in the game has got no more than 3 moto wins. Hopefully he'll be able to keep it on 2 wheels and keep this streak going.
A friend of mine I used to train with, and I did the Boston Marathon that 2 times. He said, Dave, it's not the guy that's the fastest, it's the guy that slows down the least. Well, he's been fast, but he's had some bad motos that's kept him out of this championship title chase.
I like that. I was the guy that slowed down the most. 30 minutes plus 2 laps. That's how long the AMA Motocross Championships are. We're at Broome-Tioga. At the border of Pennsylvania and New York State, we're looking at Davey Millsap's factory Suzuki and another Suzuki, although not factory, of Jason Lawrence. Lawrence had a good Moto 1. I've heard very little of Davey Millsaps in his AMA Motocross Championship season. Why is that when he was so fast in Supercross? I'm hearing a lot more about Jason Lawrence.
I think it's a number of things. 1 is he's too heavy. 2 is he's signed with factory Honda. 3 is he started off lousy at Hangtown and just kind of ruined his enthusiasm for the series. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. You asked me.
I asked you. I want your thoughts. So he's just riding lackadaisical right now.
When you blow it early in the season, your motivation starts to slip a little bit. You got to fight back. And he just didn't.
Then why is Grant Langston so motivated? Because he just blows by Kelly Smith in a very aggressive pass.
I think we've all established that Langston has the heart of a lion. That might be the difference. You know, Davey's still a kid. He's still learning. He's still trying to figure out the balance between fun and intense and all of training and everything that it takes to go into it. Villopoto will learn that in the next few years, and I don't think it's time to be counting Millsaps out. He just had an off season and probably looking really forward to next season. Ryan Sipes just went by having a lousy day, got knocked down the first lap of the first moto and was third from last in this moto off the start. So if you don't get the start, you can't hang out up there where the riders you believe you should be battling with. It's tough in this class with all the depth to work your way through.
2:22.5 for Villopoto. Some of our leaders, that was very comparable to their lap times as well. So Villopoto, the next in line of the Team Green lineage.
Yeah, I mean, here we are outside the top 10 turning fast laps. That's what I'm saying. The 250 class, you got Ricky, Kevin, James if he's there, and then it drops off 3 to 4 seconds a lap, and then it's just, it's all weak in my opinion. The 125 class is much more intense for 250.
It looks to get even better as the years progress. We're on the last lap of this 125cc class. Brock Kepler, 15 laps left. That's a darn good thing, because it looks like they're only going to be 15 laps in this race. Looks like he may be out of it for the championship. 7th place coming into this, but he's trying to prove to everyone that he is the fastest in the 125cc class. He's definitely proven it here in Moto number 2.
Yeah, it's a bummer not to have the championship in your grasp, but it sure feels good to win motos like this, and it's just signs that he's going to be there eventually.
The Honda highlight has to be the start, to start things off. Look at Tedesco, and then zing, there goes Mike Alessi.
And the second moto was the exact opposite of that. But look at Mike make that pass. Bam! Just Tedesco left him a little bit of room, and he's a little kid, but he's not afraid to get in there and bang bars. Now Alessi gets the whole shot, looks like. Watch.
Zing!
There goes Tedesco that time, a complete reversal.
Man, that looked like deja vu all over
now
again.
Look at Mike, lands a little bit too wide in that muck. Lucky he didn't go over the handlebars and that somebody wasn't close enough to plow into the back.
Our Suzuki results have a Suzuki out in front, taking the win in Moto number 2. Davey Millsaps finished in 11th spot. Jason Lawrence, after a top 10 in Moto 1, finishes 13th in Moto number 2. Now let's go down to Ivan Tedesco.
Hey, I've seen you ride every single weekend. You're an aggressive rider as well. It looks as though you're kind of content. You're in the points lead right now. You want to keep it cool and keep it on 2 wheels and just keep that championships under wrap.
Yeah, I'm trying not to ride like that, but it's kind of hard, with the championship in the back of your mind. You got a big points lead, and I think anybody in that position would. It's hard to do. I've been in that position before in Supercross, and I'm trying not to do that. I think I rode pretty good that moto, and hopefully I can keep it going.
Great to see you back up here.
Thanks a lot.
Well, those Scott goggles stayed clean, didn't they? That was nice, bright green there. Alessi, Hepler, short. As we look at the overalls here, and Mike Alessi takes another victory, his second of the year. Grant Langston and Ivan Tedesco round out the top 5 overalls. Now let's go back down to the podium, and Andrew Short.
I tried my best. First moto I was a little off, and the second moto I came from behind, so that was a good feeling to kind of redeem myself, but it was a tough day compared to last week.
Yeah, 1-1 at the last stop. Not as good this time, but he moves to second in points, 317 to 366. Tedesco could wrap up the championship at the next stop in Pennsylvania. Speaking of Pennsylvania, B-Rock Hepler, that's where he's from, and he takes the moto win.
This now makes 5 moto wins for you. That's the most wins in this 125 class. How are you able to pull that together?
Oh, well, I think it's just our team. They're really supportive, and they try to make changes that I need and want. So, we're not in the best place in the points, but I guess we are winning the most motos, so we'll just have to keep winning and hope for next year.
I noticed that you and Larry Brooks once again got in a shoving match right on the starting gate. This technique's getting you roared right up and ready to go. Is that what's making you mad out there?
Yeah, just get me pumped up for the start gate, and it works out great. I had a great day today. I went 1-2. Second moto, I got got second place start. Ivan used the same technique that I did on him in the first moto. I got around him quick, and then on the first lap I landed right in a big soft pot of mud, and I just stopped, and Brock got right by me, but I knew a 1-2 would beat a 3-1, so I just played it safe, got the overall, and it feels so good.
Mathematics worked out for him that time. Did you see Larry Brooks shaking him like a rag doll?
I like that. It works in football. It's all about getting your mind in the right place, and he is in the proper state of mind. As goofy as that may look to us, it works.
For David Bailey and Aaron Bates, I'm Robbie Floyd. We will see you at Steel City.